I never believed in bad omens until that night. It was late September, the kind where the air carries a chill that doesn't quite reach your skin, but still makes you feel uneasy. I was 17, trying to earn a few extra bucks babysitting for a family I barely knew. They lived in a 2-story colonial home at the edge of town, half hidden by trees that creaked like old bones when the wind blew. The mother, tall, elegant, distant, opened the door with a forced smile. Her husband was behind her, quiet, like someone watching a movie they didn't understand. Before I could even step inside, she said, "Don't let her near the mirrors." I thought she meant their daughter Lila. Lila was maybe 5 or 6, pale, with wide green eyes and tangled hair. She didn't speak much, just stared, a lot, especially at the tall mirror in the upstairs hallway. I caught her standing in front of it once, not moving, like she was waiting for something. There was an odd feeling in the house, like it was too quiet, like it had once been loud, but something had swallowed all the noise. I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was imagining it. I was wrong. The night had only just begun, and I had no idea what was coming. Around 9 p.m., Lila was sitting silently on the living room rug, drawing with crayons. She hadn't said a word in over an hour. I sat nearby, scrolling through my phone, occasionally glancing at her. She kept glancing toward the hallway. The mirror. I remembered what the mother said. Don't let her near the mirrors. It was such an odd rule. Why? What could a mirror possibly do? I tried to distract her with a game or snack, but she just looked at me, eyes flat, like she saw something behind me. He doesn't like it when you talk too loud, she whispered. I froze. Who? She pointed upstairs. I followed her gaze to the shadowy staircase, suddenly very aware of how the house seemed to stretch and breathe around me. I laughed nervously and stood. Okay, no more spooky talk. Lila went quiet again. At 10, I texted her mom to check in. No reply. I tried calling, straight to voicemail. I didn't want to panic, but something was gnawing at me, like I wasn't alone in that house. Around 10:30, I heard a thud from upstairs. I grabbed the flashlight from my bag and went up. The hallway was colder than before, and the mirror at the end seemed different. It looked like fog had crept onto the glass, but the rest of the house wasn't cold enough for that. I leaned in closer. There was a handprint from the inside. That's when I noticed something strange in the reflection. A dark shape behind me, standing just outside the bedroom door. I spun around, nothing there. I wanted to leave, call the cops, take Lila and run. But just as I turned to head downstairs, I saw her, Lila, in the mirror. Only she wasn't moving in sync with me anymore. Her reflection was smiling. Downstairs, I found someone I hadn't seen all evening, Uncle David. He introduced himself politely, too politely, saying he was just dropping something off, and the parents knew he'd be coming by. But something about him was off. He stared at Lila like she was something to be studied, not loved. Later, I peeked out the window and saw him sitting in his car, just watching the house. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. That's when I found the envelope tucked beneath the couch cushion. Inside was a photo of Lila, standing next to a girl who looked just like her. Only the other girl's eyes had been scratched out, and the back of the photo read, "Only one came back." I locked the front door and double-checked the windows. I didn't want David or anyone coming back in. I kept glancing at Lila, who now refused to speak. She just sat with her knees pulled to her chest, rocking slightly, humming a soft, tuneless melody. I didn't know what to do. I was a teenager with a dying phone battery, trapped in a house full of silence and secrets. The photo in my pocket felt like it was burning through the fabric. Who was the other girl? A twin? A cousin? Why had her eyes been scratched out? Then I remembered something. Earlier that night, while helping Lila change into pajamas, she told me she used to have a sister. She lives in the glass now, she had whispered. I thought it was just kid talk. I didn't anymore. Driven by something I couldn't explain, I crept upstairs to the hallway mirror. I stood there, breathing heavily, heart pounding. The fog on the glass was still there. My reflection stared back, but behind me was moved nothing. Then the mirror rippled, like water. I stumbled back and nearly screamed when I saw her. A girl inside the mirror, pressed against the glass, eyes wide, mouth moving silently. She looked just like Lila, but thinner, paler, more desperate. I ran back downstairs, but Lila was gone. Panic surged through me. I called out, tearing through the rooms, until I found her, at the top of the stairs, facing the mirror, holding hands with someone I couldn't see. That's when David banged on the door, shouting my name, demanding I let him in. I froze. Do I trust the man who watched us from the driveway, or let this twisted thing play out? Then Lila turned to me, eyes glassy. She wants out now, she said. My choice felt like a knife in the dark, blind, desperate, final, and I wasn't sure who I was saving anymore. I opened the door. I don't know why, I was terrified, but something in David's voice cracked through my fear. He stepped inside, eyes darting around like he knew exactly what he'd find. She's doing it again, he muttered, rushing past me toward the stairs. What are you talking about? I demanded, chasing after him. He turned, eyes wide. You don't understand. That thing upstairs, it's not Lila. It hasn't been for months. I froze. What do you mean? The real Lila died in that mirror, he whispered. Her twin pulled her in. Traded places. Their mother, she knew, but she didn't stop. I felt my stomach drop. So who's the one I've been watching all night? She's the one who came back, David said, stepping closer. But she's not done yet. She needs someone to take her place. That's when I realized he wasn't here to stop it. He was here to complete it. David grabbed my wrist, dragging me up the stairs. You have to look into the mirror. She needs a replacement. Just one. Then she stays out for good. I fought him, screamed, clawed at his hands. But I was losing. Lila, or whatever she was, stood at the end of the hallway, smiling. That's when I made my decision. I twisted free, shoved David forward. He stumbled into the mirror, and it accepted him. The glass swallowed him like water. The hallway fell deathly silent. Then Lila blinked. Her smile faded. Her knees buckled, and she whispered, I want to go home now. The parents came home around midnight, calm as ever, like nothing had happened. I told them everything. About the mirror, about David, about Lila. I expected shock, disbelief, maybe even horror, but the mother just smiled sadly, brushing a strand of hair from Lila's face. It's over now, she said quietly. For a while, they thanked me for staying and paid me double. I should have run out of that house and never looked back, but I lingered in the doorway, watching as Lila, now eerily calm, climbed into her father's arms. Do you think she remembers? I asked. The mother paused. Which one? I walked home in silence. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mirror, David's hand reaching out, Lila's smile before and after. Weeks passed. I never heard from the family again. Their number stopped working. The house eventually went up for sale. Sometimes I wonder if what I did was right. Sometimes I think I should have looked into the mirror instead. I pass by that house every now and then. The new owners installed curtains, but I still see it, the faint outline of the mirror, right there in the hallway. And sometimes, just sometimes, I swear I caught a glimpse of a girl standing in it, smiling, like she's still waiting. People always say you should trust your instincts. I wish I had. I took a last-minute babysitting job from a co-worker's cousin, $200 for one night cash. The family lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Denver. The house looked normal from the outside. White siding, trimmed hedges, a little swing in the yard, but the inside felt hollow. The mom greeted me with tired eyes and a trembling voice. He's already asleep, she said. Just don't wake him. Whatever you do, don't go into the basement. That should have been my first red flag. She didn't wait for me to ask questions. She and her husband left like they were running from something. I peeked into the boy's room. He couldn't have been older than 8. His name was Tyler. Small, thin, with bandages on his arms and an oxygen machine beside the bed. I figured he was sick, maybe terminal. But there was something about his face. It looked blank, like he wasn't really there. The baby monitor crackled to life beside me. But instead of breathing or static, I heard a voice whisper, "He's walking again." I froze, and then I heard it, the slow creak of the basement door opening. Even though I hadn't moved, even though I had locked it myself, the sound of the basement door creaking open echoed through the baby monitor like it was right beside me. I rushed to the hallway, heart pounding. The door was open just a few inches, enough to feel a chill leaking up from below. I called out, "Tyler." No answer. I sprinted to his room. He was gone. The bed was empty, sheets still tucked, like he'd never been there. The air was heavier now, the kind that sticks to your skin. I grabbed my phone, flicked on the flashlight, and stepped toward the basement. Every instinct told me not to. Halfway down the stairs, I saw him. Tyler was standing barefoot in the middle of the basement, facing the wall. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, like he was waiting for something. I called his name. No response. I took a step closer, and the lights flickered. My phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. "Don't touch him. Don't wake him." I looked back at Tyler. His lips were moving, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. I crept closer, trying to make out the words. He was repeating the same thing, over and over. "He's under the floor." Suddenly, Tyler collapsed. I ran forward, grabbing him, cold skin, shallow breath. I carried him upstairs, heart racing, and laid him back in bed. He stirred but didn't wake. Then I noticed it. Dirt under his fingernails. Fresh dirt, and a torn shred of what looked like a hospital bracelet clutched in his hand. I stepped back in confusion and knocked over a small, leather-bound book on his nightstand. It was filled with drawings, scribbled figures, a man with no eyes, a staircase leading into the ground. One page had a rough sketch of a child, buried under the floorboards. Beneath it, in shaky handwriting, he made me dig. I was shaking now. I flipped to the back page. Taped inside was a photograph, Tyler, sitting in a hospital bed, but the date was from 3 years ago, and the bottom read, "Deceased." I stared at the photo in disbelief. Deceased? How could that be? I had just carried Tyler up from the basement. I had felt his weight, his breath, cold, yes, but still breathing. Unless it hadn't really been Tyler. I looked back toward the hallway. His bedroom door was half shut now, even though I'd left it wide open. The baby monitor hissed again, and this time there was no whisper, just a sound I'll never forget, the dragging of something heavy across wood. I didn't go back to his room. I couldn't. Instead, I did something stupid. I texted the number that had warned me earlier. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "You don't belong there. He's not your burden." I was done playing detective. I grabbed my bag, ready to leave. But just as I reached the front door, I heard a voice behind me, small, soft. "Don't leave me down there again." I turned. Tyler stood at the top of the basement stairs, eyes vacant, cheeks wet with tears. "I can't keep him down there anymore," he said. "He wants a new body." I backed away. "Tyler, what do you mean? Who's he?" The boy's face twitched, and his voice changed, lower, distorted. "Not his. He made a deal. One soul in, one soul out. That's the rule." My throat went dry. "Why me?" He smiled now, but it wasn't a child's smile. "Because you came." And then he fell backwards, down the basement stairs, like a rag doll. I screamed and rushed after him. But when I reached the bottom, the room was empty. No Tyler, no voice, just the sound of dirt shifting beneath the floor. I ran. I didn't care anymore. I bolted up the stairs, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911. But all I got was static. Then a voice, deep, wrong, whispered through the speaker. "You were never supposed to answer the door." The light shut off. Complete darkness swallowed the house. And then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, dragging across the ceiling above me. No one should have been up there. I gripped a flashlight and crept toward the living room. That's when the front door creaked open on its own. A woman stepped inside. Tyler's mother. She looked different, older than before, face drawn and pale. She didn't seem surprised to see me. "I told him not to pick you," she said quietly. "But he's stubborn. He likes the ones who try to help." "What is he?" I whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled back her sleeve. Her arm was covered in identical bruises, circular, like fingers digging in. "He feeds off kindness," she said. "Compassion. If you want to save someone, he'll make you trade." My chest tightened. "So, Tyler's gone." She looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something behind her eyes. Something hollow. "He was gone before you ever got here. But someone always has to stay behind." Then I saw him, Tyler, standing behind her. But this time, he wasn't crying. He was smiling. And his eyes, they weren't human anymore. I don't remember how I got out of that house. I must have run. I must have screamed. But it's all a blur now, like a bad dream smeared across the edges of my memory. The only thing I remember clearly is Tyler's face and the way he smiled when the door slammed shut behind me. I tried to report it. The police said the house was empty, abandoned for months. No records of a child named Tyler. No death certificate. Nothing. Just dust and silence. But I know what I saw. I know what I carried up from that basement. And I know something stayed behind, or maybe it followed me. Since that night, I haven't slept much. I hear tapping beneath my floorboards. Whispers in the baby monitor I still keep by my bed, even though I live alone. Last week, I found dirt under my fingernails, and the words, "He's under the floor," scratched into the inside of my closet door. Some nights, I dream I'm back in that basement. Only this time, I'm the one standing in the dark, whispering for help that never comes. And just before I wake up, I hear a voice beside me. Soft, childlike. "You came. That means you stay." I was only supposed to be there for 4 hours. Just enough time for the couple to attend an anniversary dinner while I watched their daughter, Hazel. The pay was great. The house was beautiful. And they seemed polite enough, though a little too eager for me to agree before even hearing the details. When I arrived, Hazel was already asleep upstairs. The mother was reapplying lipstick in the hallway mirror, while the father handed me a list of emergency numbers. Just before they left, she paused at the bottom of the staircase and said, "One last thing. The door at the end of the hallway upstairs is locked. Please don't try to open it." I blinked. "What's in there?" She smiled too quickly. "Just storage. Old junk. Nothing interesting." The way she said it made it feel like a lie. But I smiled, nodded, and let them go. The house was quiet. Too quiet for a home with a child in it. I checked on Hazel, peacefully asleep in a bedroom full of stuffed animals. Her night light glowed a soft orange. Nothing seemed out of place, except that door at the end of the hall. The longer I stared at it, the more wrong it felt. And an hour later, I heard something knock from the other side. Once, twice, then a whisper. "Hazel." At first, I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe the pipes, maybe the wind. But that whisper, it was too clear, too intentional. And it said Hazel's name. I walked back upstairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. Hazel was still asleep, her little chest rising and falling steadily. But the door at the end of the hallway, it was different now. The brass doorknob, which had been dull before, looked recently polished, like someone had just touched it. I crept closer. My heart was pounding in my ears. Then I heard it again, from behind the door. "Hazel, please let me out." I froze. The voice was soft, scared, and sounded like another child. But Hazel was the only kid in the house. At least, that's what they told me. I backed away and called the parents. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. That's when I noticed the picture frames along the hallway wall. In all of them, there was Hazel, smiling, playing, sitting in her mother's lap. But in a few of the older ones, there was another child. A boy, maybe 9 or 10. Same eyes as Hazel. And then I saw it. One photo, nearly hidden behind a vase, had been slashed across the middle. The boy's face was torn through, like someone had tried to erase him. I felt sick. That door wasn't storage. I returned to Hazel's room, unsure what to do. But she was sitting up now, wide awake, staring at me. "Did he talk to you?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer. She nodded like she already knew. "He's not supposed to. Mommy said if we pretend he's not there, he'll go away again." Hazel, who is he? She looked down at her hands. My brother. He died upstairs. In that room. I felt the air drain from the hallway. And then she whispered something I'll never forget. But I don't think he stayed dead. I didn't want to believe her. A dead brother locked behind a door? It sounded like the beginning of a ghost story. Not something I was prepared for at midnight, alone, in someone else's house. But Hazel's eyes held something heavier than a child should carry. She wasn't lying. Why don't your parents tell people about him? I asked. She shrugged. They say he was sick. But I remember things. Screaming. The door is shaking. They said I imagined it. Before I could respond, the entire hallway filled with a loud metallic bang. It came from the locked door. Hazel covered her ears. Bang. Again. Louder. This time, I saw the doorknob twist. Something was on the other side, and it wanted out. I grabbed Hazel and backed into her room, locking the door. My hands were shaking. I felt like the house was shrinking around me, pressing inward. That's when my phone buzzed, a new message from an unknown number. You should have stayed out of it. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't even have cell service in that part of the house. Hazel climbed under her blanket. He only gets loud when someone new is here. He knows you're listening now. I was trapped in a house with a child who talked like she'd been living in a horror movie, and maybe she had. I had to make a choice. I could call the police, break down the door, or get out of that house and never look back. But something pulled at me. That voice, pleading, broken. It didn't sound evil. It sounded forgotten, abandoned, like he wasn't trying to hurt anyone, just begging to be remembered. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I grabbed the spare keys from the drawer in the kitchen, ones the mother had casually mentioned just in case. My hand hovered over the one marked back room. I didn't want to open it, but I had to. Hazel stood at the top of the stairs. He only hurts people when they forget him, she said. I unlocked the door. The smell hit me first, stale air, like the inside of an attic that hadn't seen light in years. The room was small, dusty, walls covered in faded children's drawings, a twin bed, old toys. Everything was frozen in time, and in the corner a boy, knees pulled to his chest, pale skin, hollow eyes that looked up when I stepped inside. You're not Mom, he said. My throat tightened. No, I'm just here to help. He stood slowly. His limbs moved awkwardly, like they didn't quite fit him anymore. They forgot me, said I didn't matter, but Hazel remembered. I nodded. She still does. He smiled, and for a second, I thought maybe this could end peacefully. Then he whispered, but you're the one who opened the door. Before I could react, the walls shook violently. The door slammed shut behind me. I screamed and clawed at it, but the lock had vanished. From the other side, I heard Hazel crying, and her voice, barely audible, muttering over and over, "He always chooses one." When I woke up, it was morning. I was lying on the floor outside the locked room alone. The key was gone. The door sealed tight again, as if nothing had ever opened it. Hazel was in the kitchen, eating cereal. She looked up at me with tired eyes. "He let you out," she said softly. I wanted to believe it was a dream, a hallucination, but my phone was missing, my arms were scratched, and on the inside of my wrist, someone had drawn a small, crooked house in black crayon. I asked Hazel if her parents knew what had happened. She just nodded. They always know. That's why they never open the door, not even when he screams. When the parents returned, they didn't ask any questions. They paid me in cash, thanked me like nothing had happened, and gently warned me not to mention the room to anyone else. I never went back, but months later, I saw Hazel at a bookstore, standing alone by the children's section. She looked thinner, sadder. She didn't recognize me at first. I asked her how things were at home. She didn't answer. She just looked over my shoulder and whispered, "He's waiting for someone new." I turned around, nothing there, but I haven't walked down a hallway in silence since, because I swear, sometimes I still hear knocking.